mean, yeah, but, like, what's your family's capacity for philosophy?
I honestly
Obviously,
don't
your
know.
mom.
I think my dad has a lot, actually. I don't know, though. I don't know.
Have you ever sat down and talked to him?
Well, I mean, we've had philosophical conversations, definitely, but I don't, not, within the ramifications of meaning for it to be philosophical. He's very much like, he'll give me experiences that he's had and try to relate them to what experiences I'm having. If I'm, struggling with dealing with my mom, struggling with, things with my sisters, he says, this is how I see it.
Well, he's been kind of your mom's kind of kept him at arm's length, right? Kind of because of his capacity to tell you the truth more often than your mom, pretty much? Yeah, so you fundamentally trust your dad probably quite a bit more than your mom.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I don't trust my mom. I do.
But she's given you a lot of reasons not to.
I love her, but she's definitely broken my trust a lot, and that, I guess I do this with everyone. People will break my trust, and I'm just kind of like, don't do it again, and they'll do it again. I'm like, don't do it again.
So yeah,
it's just kind of like a constant snowball effect. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I honestly, I do let people walk all over me
capitulation,
constantly.
and that's an unfortunate thing when that happens, because there's this unfortunate myth about the automatic, quote, virtue of the family, where your family could never do anything wrong. And
that is not true at all.
Not true at all. But that's okay. So the thing is that at least if you have your dad, that's a good place to start. And talking to him about just, what did you see in mom, what did you not see in mom that you probably should have seen, those sorts of things can be very helpful.
Actually,
because it can also help you avoid.
It's interesting that you bring up what he saw in her, because apparently while they were married in the 12 years that they were together and dating, married, everything, he didn't see her drink more than 20 beers in that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And now she drinks quite heavily. I don't quite know to what extent she does now. According to her, she's been laying off the beer, but I guess I see her drink a lot more liquor too.
Yeah. Going gluten-free.
Yeah. When she was dating her boyfriend, it was always vodka cranberry.
Oh yeah. Alcohol is a depressant, and it dulls the senses.
Yeah, well,
so if you're around,
interestingly enough, when we were talking about coming to orgasm and everything, alcohol makes you numb.
Yeah, numb.
And the first thing that goes numb are your lips, and your genitals.
And your genitals. It's like putting a condom over your brain, except you're not protecting yourself from anything.
Exactly. So when you have sex, guys are oh, I could go forever with this, and girls are just kind of I'm not getting off. There's nothing getting me off.
No. Yeah.
Interestingly enough,
alcohol.
I find drunk sex to be incredibly pleasurable. I love it. Yeah, I think it's great.
Well, it is an inhibitor too, so I mean, you might in that sense be
much more relaxed.
More relaxed because you're not nervous about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who feel a sort of nervousness about sex, which is unfortunate.
I've definitely I did feel that for a long time. I've definitely moved past that.
That's important. Which is nice, because if you can't be yourself during sex, then you're sharing. I mean, the sex should ideally be to the point of where it's a very. I mean, this is why I haven't had sex, despite the opportunities with many gorgeous women over the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Is because I think it's something to be respected in that sense, and so. If it's something that's so authentic and you can't bring your authentic self to it, it's a real shame to the act itself, unfortunately. Which is why so many...
I never had really trouble bringing myself, my authentic self into sexual situations. Mm-hmm. I have horrible social anxiety.
Yeah, you've told me about that, unfortunately.
And
where do you think that comes from? When did you first feel socially anxious? In a not okay kind of way, where it felt like it was, because I assume that you went on antidepressants because of the social anxiety, which you said.
Actually, mostly because I had opened up about a friend that recently was going to commit suicide, and he was going to take take just a whole bunch of prescription medication that he had found at his house. And I talked him out of it. I talked on the phone with him for hours and hours one night, and I opened up about this to my counselor, and it just so happened to be one of the sessions that my mom was joining me, and it was one of the very few that she joined me for with this particular counselor. This was when I was in my sophomore year of high school, and or the summer after, actually. Mm-hmm. And I opened up about wondering what that would be like, and
opened up about wondering what suicide would be like.
Yeah.
From your own perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was probably...
So they kind of took it as, like, I had a plan.
Mhm.
I didn't.
You didn't.
I had at one point, like, long before I moved out of my mom's house.
Yeah.
Didn't go through with it, obviously.
Good.
Didn't
Yeah,
try. I tried to. I almost
didn't.
got there. Ended up, my plans didn't work. She came home early and interrupted me.
Well, I'm glad that you're still here
Basically,
with us.
like, she didn't know what was going on, because I was really good about hiding it. I was very good about, like, kind of putting on a mask in front of her, so.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, those are the...
So they basically took it as, like, I had a plan to take, like, a lot of prescription pills and kill myself. I didn't. I just had kind of, like, been like, what would that be like? What would happen to me if it didn't work? Like, I was kind of looking at it more from, like, a scientific perspective.
More rational perspective.
What would happen to me if I did that?
Yeah.
And what would happen if it didn't work? And it definitely set off, like, a lot of alarm bells for them. Like, my counselor called my dad and told him about it and stuff, and he was apparently distraught. Like, my sisters were home when he found out, and he was just completely, like, torn apart. Like, he couldn't even look at me for, like, days. Couldn't even talk to me because
it's his daughter.
Yeah, he just, like, he didn't know how to handle it. He had never had that situation before. So.
I guarantee you, I'm pretty sure you know what you think is going through his head at that point, right? When he finds out his daughter's contemplating suicide, what did I do?
Yeah, exactly. He's wondering, and so, like,
I'm pretty sure he couldn't look at you because he was probably, like, emotionally crippled.
Yeah.
At that point, thinking to himself.
Yeah, he ended up sitting me down and talking with me with, like, in front of my stepmom too, which was kind of, like, early on, like, when I started living with him, that was, like, a big deal because I didn't like to talk about things with my stepmom. I liked to talk about them with my dad, and, like, her not being around was a very important thing because...
You can open up more fully.
Exactly, and her and I, we've definitely gotten a lot closer, but her and I were at odds for, like, a large part of my childhood. She came into our lives very early on in my life. I was, I think, like, 6 or 7.
Was that a good thing or a bad thing that she came in so early?
I think it was a good thing.
Okay, good. Because some people, if they come into your life early, it's not...
Well, she gave me this stable mother figure, other than my Nana, other than my mom on her good days.
Is she the most stable sort of maternal figure you have?
Currently, yeah.
Or ever, just throughout your whole life?
Ever, I would say that would be my Nana.
Your Nana?
Yeah. She never touched a drop of alcohol, took one puff of a cigarette and said, "This is disgusting, I'm never going to do it again." Mm-hmm. Didn't do any drugs, hardly even took medication for herself because she just thought she didn't want to put anything in her body that wasn't already there.
Yeah.
And that probably came from her religious beliefs. She's Protestant and stuff. And, but she definitely shaped a lot of the morals I have currently. Yeah. Like, when I do things that are like that I know, like, she would never do, I'm just like, there's a hesitation in the back of my mind, like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, there's
instant. It's instant. Like, there's that split second where I'm like, I don't want to do this, but then I'm like, I do want to do this. That's why I originally had the idea, because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And this is just my moral compass being like, no,
this
is a bad idea.
That is the great challenge.
Yeah.
So remember how earlier we were talking about how do you actually, like, achieve happiness?
Yeah.
Okay, so have I talked to you about Aristotle at all?
Kind of.
Okay, good. Because I'll get a little bit deep into this because he relates well to depression in terms of explaining how to avoid anxiety and depression and regret and all of these things that we don't want in our lives. So, unfortunately, you know the old phrase, you can't handle the truth? Okay, so the truth about happiness has been understood for over, like, 2,500 years, and people have... Unfortunately, pleasure is much easier than happiness.
Yes, I agree.
So it's so much easier.
Little pleasures. There's a reason that they're called little pleasures.
Little pleasures are... And unfortunately, as I was also mentioning earlier... Pleasure will often keep us from happiness because if there's no impetus for us to deal with uncomfortable emotions, we often won't deal with them at all, right? Yeah. I mean, people will often get into alcoholism to the point of where they'll suppress all of their emotions for all non-waking hours, all non-waking,
and for
all non-sleeping hours, for decades at a time. And but if they didn't have access to the alcohol, I mean, think about how different things would be, because one of two things would likely happen. They'd either change their lives, right? Or unfortunately, they might contemplate suicide and even possibly do it. Now, people, I mean, you shouldn't kill yourself. I mean, there's no moral decision to be made. It's your own life. You can choose what to do with it if you want. So, but in the sense of being alive, what's so important about that is to learn to let go of pleasure you think you need that might be holding you back from happiness. So everybody wants, as you pointed out, to get what they want. I really, so what Aristotle talked about was a word he used called eudaimonia or eudaimania, which is opposing, like megalomania is super madness. Eudaimonia is like opposing madness. So it's principalizing rationalism in your mind in that sort of sense. In other words, you always operate from the truth no matter what, even if the implications are that you don't get what you want. So we human beings have like this immutable condition where we have like two motivations. We have our own authenticity that we want to try to maintain. We want to try to tell the truth and be who we are.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have getting what we want in the world and from the world. Now, most of the time throughout life, we can just kind of sit between these two things, and we don't have to worry about choosing between them. The problem is when we get into situations in our life where we are forced to then choose between one or the other, right? So a girl asks you on a date how many women you've been with, and the number's 34, but it's like, do you tell her 14? Because you think you might be more likely to impress her or to have her think that you're not necessarily, I mean, 34 is pretty promiscuous by my standards. So if a girl told me she had been with 34 men, I'd be like, that's quite a few men. I mean, I'm not going to say that's bad. I mean, assuming you didn't do anything immoral involved in the sex, right? But if somebody's going to misrepresent the truth in an effort to get what they want, that is what will lead you down unhappiness. And where you choose, because it will be right in your face, like the singularity. the choice will be right. The choice will be right in your face and in front of you, and you will have. Most of the time, people don't have to choose between authenticity and getting what they want. But where they are forced to, what will tell you almost all you need to know about somebody is what do they choose more often, if not exclusively one thing or the other. Now, a person who is willing to always sacrifice the truth to get what they want from the world is somebody you should be extremely skeptical of.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that they're outright evil, but their potential for, if a person, no matter what, when they're confronted between authenticity and getting what they want, they continuously choose getting what they want. If I see that over and over again on somebody's modus operandi, and they just keep on doing it and keep on doing it and don't change, that's when I'm just like, yeah, see ya. Right? But then when I see somebody over and over again choose authenticity, and it's like 34,
yeah,
and the more often, it's always there, or like a guy asks you out that you don't think is attractive, and you don't want to set him down, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend when I don't, or something like that. It's those choices, and you obviously want to turn him down. Yeah. But if you're forced to choose between your authenticity and turning him down, now this will become, if you discipline yourself into this, and this is what philosophy has to offer the human condition in terms of happiness, and which is why I'm saying you can get off of antidepressants because you can achieve happiness, and then you'll be like, why do I don't even need anti-happiness pills anymore because I'm already happy. People see addiction is fundamentally an absence of happiness in a sense, right? So because they choose the wrong choices over and over and over again, this aggregation of their decision making, and more importantly, what they enact in the world, because the contemplation of your actions can neither be moral nor immoral, but your actions are very telling of this. Yeah. So as you go through your life and as you principalize and discipline yourself into this, of always moving in the direction is a true expression of not only your own authenticity, but the authenticity of the world. That is slowly, and this could be with your mother too, where if she says something that you think might save face in the moment, but if you confront her with the truth, you will have chosen, so if she brings up a fact that isn't true, and then maybe in the contexts of your company, you don't feel like, oh gosh, can I really bring the truth up about this that my mom's lying about right here with these people? And if you pursue the truth, that will get you to a higher place, and it will likely get. This is why I think it maybe even would be a good idea for some of your family members to see this, because unfortunately they haven't done, it seems to me, from the perspective you told me, a very good job, and they could learn from this too.
Well,
right.
Okay, so I have a couple things that I made mental notes about.
Yes.
It's funny that you bring up truth and authenticity, because that's something I've like struggled with a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's probably obvious.
You're getting a lot better though.
Recently I've actually been making like massive efforts to
I've noticed
get
it.
there.
And I've noticed your concern about it too, which is really important and really fantastic.
Yeah, because I know that like sometimes I'll say things and I'm like, that's not quite right.
It's
and
not
I'm
really
like,
me.
no. So then I correct myself and I'm like, no, that's not like what happened. This is what happened. And I think that's just because I'm so used to seeing that as an example. That's like a lot of what my mom does. She fudges things. She'll kind of turn things around, or she'll just completely lie about it, especially when it comes to things with my dad. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah, can you only imagine what your mom's situation must be? Well, you said she's unfortunately encountered alcoholism pretty significantly.
Yeah, I mean...
So that would be a result of...
She would, like, claim to drink, like, when I lived with her, the extent at which, like, I saw her drinking, she would claim to drink, like, 2 beers a night. She's a very thin woman who doesn't eat during the day. She would drink, like, 3 or 4 beers and just be completely gone.
Oh, my goodness.
And...
habitually drunk.
Yeah. Yes, and that would just be at night, and then she'd be doing her thing, correcting papers, and then it would turn into smoking cigarettes in the house around me. And
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like this thing, and like I don't know how much she kind of realizes that like she's doing these things. She's doing these things constantly. And
well, the alcohol will cover it up.
Well, yeah, exactly, and
yeah.
Coming back to the alcohol and
incidentally,
my mom,
drugs work.
Yes, my grandmother confronted her.
Oh, really? Good.
And was like, listen, it's the beer. You need to stop drinking. You lie when you drink. You lie when you drink. And that's
they get all piney about, like, in an effort to pretend they're being on it.
Exactly.
Oh, I love you.
Exactly. And it's just like, why? Like, I get why she feels the need to, because she put so much effort into lying when it came to divorcing my dad that she just feels like she has to keep up with it. She has to keep up with it. And I know that feeling.
It's like riding a wave like a surfer.
Yeah.
Staying ahead of
the
the curve.
Like back in middle school, I'd tell lies all the time to make myself sound cooler, better, and to get more friends.
Getting what you want rather than authenticity.
Exactly. Getting what I wanted.
Yeah.
In high school, kind of the same pattern. Mm-hmm. Not like to the extent as it was when you're young and you don't realize what you're doing. I definitely made efforts to tell the truth a lot more in high school.
Which is good.
Which is very good.
Which is very good. Yay. Fantastic. That pursuit, right?
Exactly.
There's a reason why they call it the pursuit of happiness, even though it should have
and
much
now
more.
I'm making even bigger efforts to get there, because I know the truth is only going to make my life easier. It's going to make me happier. It's going to make my mind... It's going to bring me at ease. It's going to bring me peace. And that's something that I've desperately wanted.
Things are always harder in our heads than they are
right?
when we actually... It's always scarier in here than it ever is out here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not always. I mean, it's probably scarier for actually being chased by a tiger than if you're pretending. but I, you know what I mean, right? Though.
Or like listening to the sounds of like dogs, angry dogs chasing you while you're running on the treadmill to make you run faster. That kind of thing.
It's always, I swear, it's always easier in the world. It's never as hard to ask the girl out, you know? It's always just up in here. And it's like, guys are like, but how do I ask a girl out? And it's like, technically, you just have to expend a few calories and move your vocal cords and pass some air over them. It's not really that hard.
Honestly, like...
It's just harder. It's hard up here. It's not hard
right?
here or in the world. Once you actually enact it, you realize how much easier it is. And that's a real relief, because it's often anxiety that holds us back in a sort of self-perpetuating loop of that sort of thing. Definitely.
Like, I find myself getting anxious about things, and then I think about the worst possible outcome. And then I think about the millions of other outcomes that could happen, and I think about those constantly. I'm constantly thinking of step 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 50 of all of these things that could happen, all of these things that could go wrong, all of these things that could go right. Like, what would I do in that situation? What would I say? Like, how would I act? What facial expression would I make? Mm-hmm. And it's just stemmed from this insecurity about myself.
It's all consuming.
And
when you're confident, nothing really matters.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I've expressed this recent confidence in myself.
There's a fantastic, beautiful... Well, when you experience eudaimonia, you will, I think, one day. It might take you a couple of years to really get there, but I mean, you've got a philosopher as a friend, so I'm very happy to help you. But
I'm very grateful for your help.
For sure. But the experience of eudaimonia is an overwhelming, rapturous feeling because you don't care about what people think about you. You only care about whether, like, people who control others are vicariously living through other people, are desperately afraid to control themselves. Yeah. And so when you have complete control over yourself and you're confident and you don't worry about what other people think about you, you only worry about your own self-perception. It is a beautiful feeling, for sure. It is like it'll hit the center of your heart. And once you experience, and then because I'm pretty sure you've already begun to experience the beginnings of this, and I think you can continue farther down this road. But given where you are now, and given where I know you can be, my goodness gracious. Because this is why I say you can get off of antidepressants. And one day, and look, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, when your girlfriend breaks up with you, you get smashed. So there's nothing wrong
I know that feeling.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with doing drugs. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with drugs. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with sex. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with having nice things. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with materialism. Mm-hmm. But people use materialism very inappropriately, which is to say they use it as a way to cover up a lack of addressing issues they know they need to deal with, or that they know they need to talk to somebody about, which is why I hope things work out with your therapist, and why I hope things work out for our own conversation here, and why it's so wonderful to talk to people about these things, because they unfortunately don't get a chance to really hear them very often.
Yeah, honestly, the reason I started going back to therapy, like the whole reason when I was still... was to get off of antidepressants. That's a very good point. That was the whole point. But the thing was, it was for all the wrong reasons. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for any other reason than just like I was happy to just be in oblivion and not.
Friedrich Nietzsche would have been proud. just stare into oblivion
and just not leave. And I've experienced that before. I experienced that when I ended up breaking up with my first serious boyfriend back in middle school. It happened over the summer, me heading into high school and everything. This was when kind of a lot of the fighting with my mom was really coming to a peak. And I spent like a month at my dad's.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, I would every summer. I'd spend about a month there consistently.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
When did that start?
Ever since I was little.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so you did get at least to see
I would
your
spend
dad
either a week or a month, depending on what he could get off from work.
Yes,
I would.
Good.
I would spend a lot of time with him over the summer because that was time that I had off from school. He didn't have to worry about me getting to bed on time. He could hang out with me and sit by the pool, and we could have marshmallows
spend time
and
with
stuff.
his kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
He could hang out and just relax. And so during this month, I ended up breaking up with this really serious boyfriend I had. He was the first guy that I ever told I loved. He was my first kiss. We dated for almost a full year. It was really intense for me. And when you're young like that and you're having those first feelings of love for someone that's not in your family, It is just so intense.
Very intense.
It feels like the world is ending when you lose it.
Oh my God.
It feels like the world is ending when you lose it. And I'm going to say that again. It feels like the world is ending when you lose it because it feels like it just...
It feels like it is.
I can't express that enough. It's not.
It's not.
But it feels like it is.
Like it is.
And I feel like so many people forget that. I feel like so many people forget that when they get older. They forget that feeling, and when they have kids and their kids are going through that, they're just like, you're fine. Like, you'll walk it off. Mm-hmm. And they don't think to kind of empathize with them.
I empathize a little bit.
And be like, well, how did I feel when I first got dumped? Like, let me bring myself back to that and really try to re-experience that for my kid so that I can level with them and be like, you know what, let's focus on you. Let's focus on you and
let's walk it off
some
with
fun.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
help you walk it off. You don't have to walk it off on your own.
No.
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you to help
and I
out
think
if you
that's one of the most important things you can do as a parent is say, I'm here with you. I'm not here for you. I'm not here. You're not here because of me. I'm here with you, and I'm helping you become the best adult that you can be, the best person you can be.
A good guy.
And I'm going to teach you how to do that to my abilities, and you're going to find your way at some point. You're going to experiment. You're going to do things. You're going to do things that I tell you not to do.
That's
but
fine.
I'm here. But that's okay. Exactly. That's fine. And if you get into trouble, you can call me, and I'm going to pick you up, and I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm going to bring you home. We're going to sleep it off. We're going to cool down, and then we're going to talk about it, and we're not going to fight about it. We're not going to yell about it. You're not going to have consequences unless there's consequences to be had.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. You don't have to... Oh, my gosh. If only... Like, parents generally just have to be a really good person.
Exactly.
Like, you just have to be a good example.
You just have to be empathetic. You have to be able to pull yourself, as uncomfortable as it is, as much as you might hate it, as much as those years were torment for you, like they were for me, you have to pull yourself back into those years that they're going through, those formative years, those kind of coming into your own years, and try to put yourself in that uncomfortable spot and be like, I feel just as uncomfortable as you do right now, but you feel it constantly, and I'm just making myself feel this way so that I can empathize with you and be like, listen.
Yeah. That's why
talk to me about it.
Being with your dad was really important. I'm glad you got to at least experience some of that.
Imagine if
you had never gotten to know your dad at all.
I
think about your yeah, right.
I don't want to think about what
women. If you're listening, make sure you have babies with really amazing men.
Yeah, right.
that you want to be around. Because if you want to help save the world, have babies with really good men that will actually be there for your babies to actually. Because like I said earlier, I'm not sure if we were recording when I mentioned this, but number 1 and 2 contributing factor to the development of empathy in children is the presence of your father and being able to negotiate about play with other kids. And so it's like the time you got, like, I mean, your foundation, like, this is why when I say, like, you have great potential, Molly, I'm sure a lot of it is coming from what your father has done for you. And I hope maybe some of your mother, I mean, she
definitely has her good qualities.
Yes. So she's not a complete and total.
She's a very loving person.
Well, but
she's very loving, but it's for her own reasons. It's to help herself.
Well,
and it's because it's a social norm to love your kids and love your family.
Yeah, but that makes it valueless, though.
I know.
You know what that means? Something that's automatic, automatic has no value.
Like, I hate when parents say, like, why do you love your kids? And they're like, because they're my kids.
Yeah.
It's like,
they can't even.
It's like, no, literally. You have to love your kids for what makes them them. Like, they're their own people. And my dad has expressed this to me so many times. He always strived to treat my sisters and I, even from when we were 4 years old, when we started having memories, when we started being able to when we had our own personalities, when we were starting, when you're really starting to, like,
the vocabulary
have your likes and dislikes, have your wants and needs and everything, and and you can vocalize them.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And you have, like, a brain, kind of, like, up until you're 4, you don't really, you're kind of like, eat, sleep, go to the bathroom. Eat, sleep, go to the bathroom.
A leaf in the wind.
Right. You're just kind of floating along, growing, and then all of a sudden you just kind of, like, over time you form a personality, and then it's there. And he tried to really, like, emphasize this, that we were our own people, and he just he treated us that way. He treated us like people. He didn't treat us like kids. He didn't treat us like 4-year-olds. He didn't treat us like toddlers. He treated us like people. He asked us what he wanted. He asked us what we wanted to do. He let us dress ourselves even when it was disastrous. And
nice, good. Thanks, Dad.
Right?
Wonderful.
Not all the time. I mean, my sisters ended up changing me or being like, you're not leaving the house like that. So did my stepmom a lot. It happened a lot. They're like, you're not going to wear that to this event. You're not going to do that. And it's been a struggle for them trying to like mold my style into something that's adult and, you know, grown up and everything. And I'm just a very like free, like I just like to do what I like to do. I like to wear what I like to wear. I like to be comfortable. I like to be able to 1 minute be sitting in a meeting and then the next I want to go on a hike. And I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to go ride a horse, and I want to go to the beach after. I like being able to be dynamic, and that's what I try to definitely work into my wardrobe. But my sisters and family don't really understand that. They want me to look nice. They want me to look adult. They want me to look like a woman. They want me to look ready, like dressed to impress.
That's an interesting. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with dressing to impress, but what's very important is, okay, so if you're a woman and you're trying to attract a good man, the most important thing you can do is not even really worry about whether you look nice. Yes, worry about whether you look nice, but what's most important is to worry about whether or not you look like yourself.
Exactly.
Because he's only going to follow, like, he is only going to, and he will only be able to, more importantly, fall in love with a genuine reflection of who you are, not with what maybe society or your family or culture has kind of programmed you to be. So if you're just a cookie cutter image of womanliness, it's like, yeah,
exactly.
that can look nice, but and if it's genuinely who you are, and if it genuinely falls into like the same kind of vein that your family is, that's cool too. But if they're forcing you to not be yourself, you want a guy to fall in love with for what you really are, not for what culture or your family has programmed you to be. Because you can't fall in love with a cliche.
And that's definitely something that I've like worried about like my entire life, honestly. Like growing up with sisters that are so much older than you, it depletes all of your self-confidence and all of your self-image and all of your self-esteem.
How did that happen? Or what happens?
Because you're going through these awkward phases and they're not.
Oh no.
You're going through all these
or they
like
already
weird
have.
They already have, and you don't really remember it, and they're not helping you. They're not saying like, no,
okay.
do this and this, and like, oh,
it'll be
look
okay
great.
in a couple years.
No, they call you frumpy and like
thanks, sisters.
Make you feel crappy because they look amazing and they're like starting to get curves and like they're not like they don't still have their baby fat. They're like they're getting like
they're filling out.
They're filling out. They're looking like a woman. They're doing their makeup. Their hair always looks nice. Like they always smell nice. Like that. And just all of these things escalate and build on top of each other. And you.
Did you have a ton of torment from female figures in your life, including your mom and sisters too?
My sisters
not as bad as your mom, but
picked on me because they thought it was like the right thing to do. Like they tease each other constantly, but the thing is, they went through those awkward phases together. They were teasing me in the same way they were teasing each other, but I was still stuck back here. They were up here, all nice and pretty and confident and looking good, and they were in high school. And then I'm still.
You can fake confidence.
I'm still in elementary school, and I'm overweight, and I don't have any friends, and my hair is really frizzy, and I have weird freckles and gap teeth. And
oh no, they're giving it to you hard. Oh no.
No, like these are just things that I notice about myself. These are not things that they would point out, but these are things that I would notice that I had that they didn't.
Well, I know, but
so
you have to ask yourself why you're noticing them, or why they matter so much more appropriately to you at the moment.
Because nobody else looked that way to me. I like you like your own biggest critic. You're your own worst critic.
Oh yeah.
Always.
No, thank you. Good. That's
Always.
That's exactly where I was going with that. Yes, good. You caught on.
Yeah.
You're your biggest critic. Yes.
And
you're also your biggest love.
Exactly. And that's like something that I've been trying to promote for myself so much lately. Like taking pictures of myself and saying like, I don't have makeup on. My hair's like drying naturally. It's still kind of wet, so it looks kind of weird. I like this picture of myself. I'm gonna post it on Instagram and say, loving today, having a great time. In this picture, I'm wearing my like old tank top that I wear to bed, and my hair's done from the day before, so it looks kind of off, and I look really tired, and my makeup's a little smudged. I'm still gonna take that picture. I'm still gonna post it on Instagram, and I'm still gonna say, I love myself today.
Yay, good.
You just have to do that, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and not say, wow, I have like a tummy and my thighs are kind of jiggly and pale and I don't get out in the sun. And
If you're getting unhealthy, it might be good to motivate you to be healthier. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit extra weight. It's fine.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes it looks a lot nicer.
Exactly.
You know, so it's cool. It's just, just be healthy, though.
Being soft. It's a nice softness. Like, I just, and like, when I, like, no matter what I do, I kind of have, like, a little bit of, like, a double chin, and I'm just kind of like...
Oh, no, you don't. I don't think you do, or at least not from my perspective.
Like, I feel all these things about myself, but I'm gonna say, you know what, I could look a lot worse. I have looked a lot worse. I've definitely come a far way. There was a point in high school where I was the thinnest I have been up until this point. I weighed about 130 pounds. I'm 5'5", so that was healthy. But how I got to that point was incredibly unhealthy. I didn't eat. I had horrible anxiety, and I couldn't eat. Because when I ate, I threw it up. And I wouldn't even try to throw it up. I wasn't even bulimic. It's not like I was exactly anorexic.
No, but
I wasn't diagnosed anorexic by any means, and I didn't look it at all.
You were anxious to the point of vomiting.
I was anxious to the point of vomiting because of social situations.
Okay, so this is...
And I wouldn't eat for days at a time. I would eat, like, a piece of bread when I got home. I would eat at home. I would eat, like, dinner. But that was my only meal, and I would eat like, normal portions, like, single portions of my meal.
If there are any psychologists or food therapists watching, I wonder how much bulimia is caused by an external factor. Like, in other words, you're incredibly anxious, and then the moment you eat, it just kind of comes up, you know. And
I mean, that honestly, that happens a lot. That's actually one of, like, that's a huge symptom of having social anxiety or having anxiety in general. You vomit. You can't keep anything down. Your stomach's very sensitive. I got to the point where I was walking around school with like a drink constantly in my hand because I couldn't last more than about a minute or two without wanting to throw up.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Because I was surrounded by people I didn't know, and people were touching me, and I didn't like that, and I didn't want to be around these people, and they all were staring at me, and they were all like, and when I heard other people laughing, I was thinking, oh my god, they're laughing at me.
Oh.
It was that bad.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of egocentrism that you have when you're a teenager, like you think everything's about you. And that's just a psychological growing level. That's like a level that you reach psychologically growing when you're dealing with the self and others. And that's something that everyone
Especially if
goes
the others
through.
don't have themselves figured out and you have no good example as to
Exactly.
what authenticity is.
And that's something that everyone goes through. That's something that everyone can relate to as a teenager, especially if you're past that point looking back. You see the egocentrism. I've taken like a couple psychology classes and everything. Nothing like I'm by no means a psychology major. I don't know everything about psychology, so please like don't quote me on this. But like don't take this like this might be a little
take
bit
it with
wrong.
the caveats.
Yes,
Yep. Got it.
But there's a point in your psychological growth in realizing others and yourself, and the fact that they're separate and nothing's really about you. When you're a teenager, that's what you think. That's just how you feel.
Just like
everything, and you don't, it's not like you're consciously thinking everything's about me, but you have your internal narrative, you have your
actions that are occurring in the world that all kind of direct it that way.
Exactly. You see people talking and laughing, you're gonna think it's about you because they're like, maybe one of them glances over at you during the conversation,
and even not in a good way,
and it's not even like maybe they're just looking around because they're bored with the conversation and these other two girls are laughing because they're saying something funny. It's not necessarily about you. And that's something that you learn as you grow psychologically, as you realize not everything's about me. You may still have your internal narrative, and that's just a milestone that you reach when you reach it.
Yeah, the egocentrism is an interesting branch of psychology. Speaking of Aristotle, then are you familiar with Ayn Rand, another philosopher that I've kind of talked about a little bit? She talked a lot about self-egoism and the desire to love the self, and she was also heavily influenced by Aristotle. So this is where this kind of comes in, where the basis for her ideas of love were also self-actualized, and in other words, any love you have with other people is a reflection of the fact that you have love with yourself, which is a fancy way of saying you can't love another until you love yourself, right? So this is why I also say, like, when you get to when you go so much farther down the path in your life, which will lead you to a greater and greater potential from who you are today. This is why when you go off of antidepressants, when all of these things change in your life, you won't have to worry about a relationship with a man working. It will actually work.
Yeah.
Because you will know that you have gotten to the point of where there's nothing that you have left to hide from him or from yourself anymore. And that it's all out in the open. And that it's... There will be jerks.
Luckily, I am like...
There will be jerks who might try to hurt you, but you'll be, at that point, probably so attuned to virtue that you'll be able to just see it immediately.
Honestly, I feel myself getting there already. Like, it's not like I don't have interested parties now that I'm single.
Of course.
I wouldn't say that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like the most beautiful girl in the world. I know that I'm a fairly attractive woman.
Yes.
I enjoy that about myself. I can say that with confidence. I like it. I like myself. I love myself.
You get lots of evidence to support that as well.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, you find that there's evidence in the real world to support this theory.
I have interested parties that talk to me and they're saying, oh, let's hang out. Why don't you come over? We'll watch a movie. We'll go to the beach. We'll do this. We'll do that. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm busy. I'm working. Mm-hmm. And I'm always working. Like, that's not something that I'm lying about. And then I just kind of decided, you know what, like, I don't have to be around the bush about this. And recently, a guy asked me, like, hey, like, what are you doing, like,
this
day?
Is your friend that you were talking about?
No, just kind of like this random guy that added me on Facebook and started messaging me because we had mutual friends on Facebook and everything, and I was just kind of like, whatever, like,
okay.
It is what okay, like, it is what it is. Like, I definitely thought he was attractive upon, like, first seeing, like, pictures of him on Facebook and everything. I was like, oh, like, if he's interested, that'd be cool. Like, he's like, I think, like, the first thing for me is always, like, that physical attraction. Like, if I'm physically attracted to someone, which is something, and I'm not trying to be, like, shallow or anything, but physical attraction to me is very important.
That's
like,
important,
I have to want to...
Well, that's not... I mean, it's not shallow. Your preferences are just your preferences. Like, your preferences are no one else's obligation.
Exactly.
Right. So I mean, and this is why it's so much like if a person's insecure and a guy they doesn't like, you know,
See,
asks
I feel like
him
that's
out,
just such like a social construct though. Like, if you have preferences, like you like someone who's like really attractive, a little muscular, like you're following that like social norm of all guys have to be masculine and muscular and do this. No, like that's just my personal preference because that's what I like to see. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be spending my life with someone that I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
Like, that's
well, that would be, like I said, that's the whole conversation that we were having about authenticity in the relationship, right? So you don't want to convince yourself to be with somebody.
Exactly.
Even though you could potentially, like, it has
even
to be
if
authentic.
they're like the nicest guy in the world and they do all the things right emotionally, if I don't feel that physical attraction, I know that I can't be with that person.
And well, yeah, that would be a betrayal of your own authenticity, and in exactly. fact, and that's what I was talking about Aristotle and Aristotelianism and eudaimonia. To betray that would be to betray any potential of your own happiness, mm-hmm. right? So it's like that would be the worst thing you could do. You know, and then you probably lead them on, and then you probably, I mean, if you were still not yet committed to integrity, you would probably end up cheating on them, you know, so.
Exactly, and like,
there's no reason to get into those situations to begin with, but even worse is that you have to operate from your own integrity. It can't be anything else. Like, I mean, mm-hmm. and yes, and who knows, you know, there's times where you find people attractive differently at different times in your life, you know,
exactly.
where sometimes like your standards change, and you never know you never know what your preferences are going to be solidly, you know, like you'll have a probable general idea, but you never know. Maybe one day that you do like the guy, but if it's not a genuine reflection, that's what's most important about all.
See, like.
And unfortunately, I got a
little blurb about myself. Back when I was in high school, I went on a summer camping trip for a week with my friend, and it was like this kiddie place that like her parents, like they used to go all the time, and they were like, oh, like let's go for the summer, because her younger brother was still young enough to enjoy all the things that were going on there.
Oh, okay, good.
And so she was like, oh, I'm gonna bring a friend. So she brought me, because we're best friends. We've known each other since we were 7 years old, and I still
goodness, really?
Yeah, she's.
Are you guys still friends?
We still talk. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, she lives in Vermont now. She's going to school in Vermont. She actually went to like
But at least you still have contact.
Oh yeah, we
Good.
still we don't talk nearly as much as we used to.
Yeah,
Like
it's
we
not as
used
easy
it was
here.
like an everyday thing. Every single weekend we'd hang out. She used to live across the street from my grandparents. I was always there, so we were just we were attached at the hip for most of our lives. Like, not even kidding. We were just constantly with each other, constantly hanging out, constantly playing, constantly doing these things. And she was like the first outside person that I knew was family to me. And her family was the first outside that I knew was family to me, outside of my own family. And I think that that's such an important connection to make, to have a family like that, to have like
because sometimes
people,
it's better than your own family.
Exactly. Granted, every family has their own issues, and knowing her for that long and seeing the things that they've all been through, they definitely have their issues. And like, I'm not going to go into that because that's not my thing. Yeah. It's their personal stuff. It's whatever. But
I tried to only go with first-hand information. Second-hand information can be accurate, but more often than not, it's not.
Well, like, I lived through it with her, and I was always there for her. She was always calling me when things would go south. She would call me and be crying and upset, and I would do the same with her. Like, when things would go south in my house, and I was upset and I needed someone to talk to, I would call her first, and then I'd call my dad.
I've noticed that relationship a lot between girls when they're young, when they're growing up, where you'll have like one, like you'll basically have like a sister who's better than your family, and it's the only thing, and it's like it's basically like a family relationship in a way, because you have to go to them about your family,
right? Exactly. And we honestly, we refer to each other as sisters. We've referred to each other as sisters for most of our lives. Like, I don't know if we're still that close or not.
I've noticed it with a lot of women, actually.
I think that that's just, honestly, I think that that's just a connection.
That one person they can count on as a sister.
Because you're really going through, like I said before, like, that's someone that you can go through all those awkward phases with and compare.
And they don't have to worry about them making fun of you.
Exactly, because you know they're family, but they're not family. And you can't really go talk to your sisters about it, because that's kind of weird. And it's like, I don't really want to talk to my sisters about that because that's lame. I want to talk to my best friend about it because she's going through all these things too.
That you are.
And I can just talk to her and be like,
be empathetic.
Look at this. Like, look at my boobs. Look at my butt. Like, does this look normal?
Is this normal?
Is this normal? Like,
it's normal.
Is this what you see when you look in the mirror? And it's just this total openness that you get with this person. And she grew up with brothers, no sisters. So, like, I grew up in a woman household. Like,
yes,
I was very easily I'm just gonna drop trow right here, change whatever, like in front of everyone, like all the girls. Like, it's a very normalized thing in my family, like with the women, when it's just like my sisters and I, or like when it was my mom and I, we would just like, we would change in front of each other. Like, she'd kind of be like, oh, go in the other room, like, I'm gonna go in the other room. But like, it is what it is. Like, we washed each other's dirty underwear, literally. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like it's a good thing that you've developed closer relationships with male figures, because it sounds like your existence was pretty matriarchally dominant.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I hang out with guys so much. Like, when I'm here, I'm the only girl here when we're hanging out most of the time, unless such a rarity, honestly.
It depends, yeah.
Like, like usually when I'm here on Civ Night, it's all guys, and I'm just kind of like, this is great. Like, I can so relax and just belch out the alphabet and not even care. Like, everyone will be like, yo. Yeah. And I'm like, I got you. Like, this is great. And I think it's just because I'm so much more comfortable being around guys.
Well, you didn't have very good examples of women in your life, especially in the early years, huh?
I mean, my grandparents.
Your grandparents. Your grandmother.
My mom, not my mom, my sisters.
To a lesser extent.
Yeah, they definitely, like, they were trying to do the things that my mom wouldn't do, that they knew had to happen, like brushing my hair for me because I refused to brush it, and this is a rat's nest if it doesn't get brushed at some point in the day. It may be poofy at that moment, but you kind of rough it up and it looks okay.
And then, yeah.
And or you put it up in like a ponytail or a bun or something, anything, but just it has to be brushed.
Yeah.
And like, it would get to the point where I'd have like a single like knot, one line, like a dreadlock down the back of like the very nape of my neck.
Really?
And yeah, and so it happened a couple of times, and like my sister had to cut it out one time because like she brushed it out the first time, but the next time it happened she couldn't, and that was because I would brush my hair but I wouldn't brush it good enough, and no one was really standing over me being like, you need to brush your hair, you need to brush your hair, brush it better. And so, like, when I, like, got into babysitting with my sister and there was a little girl that, like, didn't brush her, like, refused to brush her hair because it hurt her, I made myself sit with her and brush her hair as gently as I could because I knew how much it hurt when someone was tugging on the knots in your hair, and you have a sensitive scalp because you're still a little kid. You're not used to tugging on your hair.
Yeah.
Like, you build up a tolerance to that kind of pain.
Fall down, boom,
When
owie.
you have very curly hair, it happens.
Your first fall down, boom, owie is the worst one. Because it's the first fall down, boom, owie. Right, you know,
it really is. Oh my gosh!
It was the first one, and then it was like, what in the world was that?
Right?
What was ow?
What was ow?
what is ow? You know, your new little noggin has never been exposed to ow before. And
right.
Then,
And so
it's incredible.
She just she wouldn't brush her hair or anything, and she had like a brother that was a couple years older than her, and my sister and I, we would watch them together sometimes. Like if it was going to be a long day, she would bring them over to the house and we'd hang out at like my dad's house. And those are usually on days that I was at my dad's house, especially when like I lived with him. Like that's when like she started babysitting them. And so I would help her. Like I would help her make like lunch for them. I would make sure they had sunscreen on if like she was doing something with like something else, like doing homework or something, and like I would like take over for a little while so she could get stuff done, and then she'd come back and be doing like her thing, babysitting them like she was supposed to and everything like that. Like it was a very like, because like I was at home all summer, and it was before I even had a job, and
so
it was I had nothing to do anyway.
Today?
Like I might as well chill out by the pool with with a 4 and a 6-year-old and just hang out. Like not even really like concerned about like having like I didn't have any friends at that point. Because I had just moved in with my dad, and I moved halfway through my freshman year, and I stayed my freshman year at the same school. So going into that summer, I lived in I didn't know anyone. I had no reference as to like where people hang out, like what they do, like how they do
social
things.
Community.
Exactly. I didn't have any idea of the social community in that area. I did because that's where I grew up. That's where I went to school for most of my schooling. And so...
The schooling. Now that kids have Wi-Fi in schools, right, they can actually look up the truth.
Exactly. Right?
Goodness.
Oh my god, did that so much. Honestly, I corrected so many teachers in high school, and I just got like...
dude, so much fun.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
but this is why I say you would like love my mom and my grandma. Because they would be like, my mom and grandma... Well, my grandma sounds a lot like your grandma, but my mom is very different from your mom, like on pretty much every level. My mom was pretty much perfect. Mm-hmm. Not ever like my parents were so much better than everybody else's parents. Like it's really sad. It kind of gives me like it. That's why
it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I mean it's a real thing. Like if you have good parents, like you get a huge head start.
Yeah, definitely.
And my parents were both really fantastic, and what really blows my dome is the thought of if I ever have kids, because my parents did a great job, although I would have done some things differently. So what my children would be capable of,
oh my goodness,
I don't even know.
See, like,
so that would be that. Just
I think the advantage that my sisters and I got, our parents are both incredibly intelligent people. Mm-hmm. Incredibly intelligent. Maybe not in some of the ways they do things, but
intelligence, yes.
Very, very book smart, very intelligent in what they do for work and outside of work. Just super big brains, basically. Mm-hmm. And so what we got was intelligence. We got that intelligence, and then we got... I've always thought you were a very smart girl. Oh, thank you.
Ever since I met you, I've always known how smart you are.
Thank you.
That's one of the reasons why I say you have so much potential. Is because smart isn't like smart is a lot easier. Like smart isn't a choice, really.
No, it's
it doesn't require.
You either are or you aren't.
Yeah, it doesn't require much choice to be smart.
No.
Right, but your own personal integrity is at your choice.
Yeah.
It's in here. That's what's hard. So that's why when when I see how smart you are, I'm just like, oh my gosh, Molly can help change the world.
That's what I want to do with microbiology. I want to discover something. I want to see maybe like is there a bacteria that we know about but we don't know its potential to fight cancer or fight Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's or Huntington's, like all these different horrible diseases that honestly tear apart families. You don't know what it does until you see it.
Yeah, the dementia.
And I've seen it.
Migraine.
I've seen cancer. I've seen Parkinson's. I have seen Alzheimer's. And it is sad.
I haven't seen all of them.
It is sad.
Oh, yeah, so
and it is heartbreaking. And it's just like, I feel like I can't be around this person the same way I was before because they are different. Something happened and changed them, and they think differently and they see the world differently because now they have a life-threatening disease that is slowly poking holes in their brain or their body and slowly eating away at their organs and slowly killing them.
Calculus? Or no, it's not calculus, but what's it called? The mineral that develops in your brain? Oh gosh.
Calcification.
The calcification of the brain. You develop calcium deposits that slowly take off. Yep, and you have to do a test for them and whatnot.
And I haven't seen Huntington's yet, which is really good because that's an incredibly high genetic rate disease. But I've also seen a lot of mental illness. Like, I have a family member who has schizophrenia. I never saw I never saw when he was bad, but it makes me so proud of him to know that he's on his own. He has a family. And he's perfectly fine. And perfectly normal.
So he's been able to...
He's been able to be in society and be normal.
It's so Harry Potter.
It's
so Harry Potter. Harry Potter is about the role of child abuse and mental illness, and the battle between the schizophrenic personalities in Tom Riddle to achieve a state of normalcy so that he can go back. I mean, that's why when Tom Riddle says he knows that Hogwarts is a mental institution, that he doesn't want to go. Right, and then he goes and he starts to receive some help, but then of course the battle metastasizes and a lot of unfortunate things happen, like he kills Cedric Diggory and some other bad stuff happens. But in the end, he kind of, what is it? It's like the harmony of Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort finally at peace in Riddle's mind. And though a lot of unfortunate things happened, there was that finally.
Like in the final battle when Harry Potter is killed, and then that little piece of Voldemort that's left.
Also.
It dies.
Yeah, also
and then
dies.
All that's left is Harry.
Yeah. Or Riddle, in a sense.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Riddle For those who don't know, the only two real characters, and yes, we're gonna ruin your childhood. For those who don't know, the only two real characters in Harry Potter are Tom Riddle and the psychologist Albus Dumbledore. Everything else is a recasting of Riddle's institutionalization in a mental institution as an adventure. And it's his struggles.
I honestly
And that's the
I
schizophrenic.
never even knew that, and the message that I took from it was.
It's the
and Harry Potter,
battle.
it's always been such a huge thing for me because it's all about being different.
It's all about something very powerful.
Exactly. It's all about being different. It's all about celebrating how you are different from the people around you and surrounding yourself with people who also celebrate that difference in themselves and you as well. And that was such a huge thing for me, and that's the original message that I took from it. And then I kind of learned about all the different canon backstories and everything. Yeah. And it kind of all pieced together for me. It was it really is purely about being different and finding a way to feel normal, even though you are different from everyone. Well, to even celebrate the fact I'm different and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, for sure. We're all snowflakes.
Exactly.
Although, did you... I know that, unfortunately, the crowd that might listen to this might think we mean a different kind. We don't mean the snowflakes as in the kind that just flip out at nothing. We mean the good kind of snowflake that's unique. There's the...
Oh, goodness.
Because, snowflake is now taken on a new term of, people who just can't handle the truth and they melt the moment you confront them with the truth into a puddle. But, no. The snowflake is a wonderful metaphor for knowing your uniqueness and what you can create that you have not yet created and how you can make the world a better place.
Exactly.
Which is what I'm hoping to do with this. So, for the crowd, the good kind of snowflake.
The good kind of
snowflake. And getting to know that person, knowing who you are is the first challenge. And then actualizing is the second big challenge.
Definitely. I definitely agree.
Yeah, knowledge is difficult, but you can achieve it. And action is incredibly difficult, but you can achieve it. You just have to operate out of your own authenticity, always and continue. Look, getting what you want is incidental. Even the pyramids are disappearing right now. Right?
Exactly.
So the only thing you'll have at the end of your life is your integrity. It's all the sex, all of the drugs, all of the wealth. None of it will matter.
Nope.
You'll only have what's up here and what it really means to be a good person. And you will have either figured that out by that time or you won't. And if you never figured it out, you unfortunately never got to live.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people never figure out even the beginnings of what you're figuring out, which is how to live a more full and beautiful life.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm so happy for you and where you're going.
Thank you.
For sure.
So I just remember we got like wicked off topic about something that
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually want to kind of capitalize on, because I think that this is an experience that like kind of like a lot of people have, especially like today in this generation. I think it's become a lot more tolerant, and I don't want it to be. That's something that I don't want cheating.
Yeah. Cheating.
Being unfaithful, I mean, there's
a reflection of lack of integrity in general.
Yes. Well, the thing
also-
is, there's polygamy and there's polyamory.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's agreed upon by two people who are fully accepting of that and who are fully accepting of each other and themselves and the people that they choose to, the other people outside of that arrangement that they have together,
Mm-hmm.
and they're
They're
accepting
fine
of
with
all those people and they're okay with it,
Yeah.
that is one completely different thing. And I'm not saying that polygamy or polyamory are bad things in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
If
that's
it's
something that
for
I
you.
want to experience. Like, I want to see, like, is that for me? Is that something I could get into? Like,
I know a
I
lot
just,
of people.
like, there are so many things that,
But,
like, I
yeah,
just
yeah.
want to experience when it comes to other people and relationships and being close with other people, that I
It can
want...
be for some people, it's not for others.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I want to see, like, is that what I've been searching for in a relationship? Is that what I've been looking for all this time? And because it's such an attractive idea to me.
Well, I don't think that's what you need to worry about in terms of a relationship. Well, I mean, you need to worry about yourself first.
Well, yeah.
And then when a relationship comes, it comes along, you know. So this is why I say you really have to fully love yourself deep down, really completely. But on the issues of polyamory and monogamy, totally fine with it. What's important is integrity.
Exactly.
So as long as everybody knows, that's perfectly fine. You have to be a lot more careful, obviously.
Yep.
That's for sure. You have to be much more careful.
Oh,
There
yes.
are intrinsic benefits to monogamy in that sense.
Most definitely.
But there's also, it just has to be a reflection. And this is a really interesting thing. And so when you bring it up in these contexts, what's really important to talk about is how, so what infidelity rates are like 50, 60, 70%? Something like that.
I
So
honestly don't know.
I'm
But
pretty
I've
sure the rates
only
are at least half.
cheated in a relationship the one time, and it was
Just kissing too.
yeah,
as far as I
it was
understand.
just kissing.
Which is
I
still
was,
not necessarily being
like,
faithful, but it's not
blackout
intercourse.
drunk.
Yeah.
It was a card game. There was
Card
like a
game, all that
bet.
stuff.
There was other things, and I don't even really remember what happened. All I remember what happened was what this person told me when they came up to bring me breakfast, because I was so hungover that I couldn't get myself out of bed. And it was like the first time that I'd ever really gotten like really drunk to the point of like, I don't remember really what happened. Like, I vaguely remember I had little snippets of like playing the card game and then going out on the beach and then hanging out with this person, but I don't remember kissing them. I don't remember any of the other things that he said happened. Like, apparently my top came off. I was wearing a bathing suit. Like, there are just things that happen when you're making out with someone and you're wearing a bathing suit.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, like, nothing else happened because I was a virgin at the time. He was a virgin. Like, I made sure that was still a thing. That was still all
Still
there.
No goodness.
And I still had that, nice little security of semi-purity left in me.
Oh.
How awful as that is to say, like, I, like, at that time, being the person I was at that time, that's what, like, was really important to me, that, like, I hadn't had sex with anyone.
Well, 18's pretty old.
Yeah, I know. Like, I was 18 when I lost my virginity.
A lot of people are younger than that.
Yeah, but, like, this
honestly.
was back when I was, like, 15, 16. And so it was very important to me that I had kept that.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Because that was an important thing for me. That still is an important thing for me. Sex with someone, I feel, is a very emotional thing.
It definitely can be.
Finding someone, like, if you are the kind of person I am and you just like to have sex and you can find someone, like, I have actually...
I do recall it being fun.
Yeah. I am lucky enough to, like, be able to like have someone that I've had sex with before that is comfortable with having like casual sex with me when the need arises, when I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore, like
be
get
careful.
it out of my system so that I don't
use it though, but be careful.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, right?
Well, yeah, and like that's part of the agreement that
again,
we have.
because you can use sex to cover stuff up, just like you can use drugs to cover stuff up.
Well, also like more on the health safety side.
And the health safety side is also really important.
There's an agreement
too.
that we have where like if things start to get serious with like another person for either of us or like anything, like if we just decide like we don't want to do it anymore, that's something that we can totally do, and we're both comfortable with that. And we've agreed like, yeah, like like when we were doing our thing before, and it was definitely like it was like going somewhere else completely, like not towards friendship and casual sex. It like we agreed like also upon like if feelings start to come up, we're not gonna just push them down and be like it's okay. Like I still get sex.
Good.
Like we agreed about openness.
Yeah. Okay. Good. No, but I mean, yeah, I get it. Okay, it's good. It's crass and good at the same time.
Exactly.
There's nothing bad about crass. Crass is fine.
You know me, Eric.
Open is more important, which is great. So fantastic.
Well, yeah, we're very open with each other, and that's honestly a very important thing to me. Honestly, like he is close enough with me now. He knows me well enough now that I would consider him my best friend at this point in my life. At least like one of the people who has gotten to see a lot of parts of me that people don't see emotionally. I have cried in front of this person over them.
Really? My goodness.
Yeah. Like when we ended things, like I cried. And I let him comfort me about it. And it was because of him that I was upset. But I still let him comfort me because I knew that's what I needed at that moment, and I was okay with it because I knew he still cared about me and I still cared about him.
Other people's preferences aren't your obligation. Exactly. So it was a real big wake-up call for you.
Yeah.
So that I'm almost positive I know who you're talking about. So yeah, but I'm not sure. Well,
okay. Let's just not name names.
Yeah, no. We're not gonna name. You're not gonna name names, but I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. So I can understand why that would be a very powerful thing for you. And you're a beautiful. Okay, so you're a very beautiful woman.
Well, thank you.
And one of them. Okay, so supernovas are pretty interesting. But watching beauty fail to get a beautiful woman what she wants is a very interesting thing to happen in the universe, because often beautiful women have no idea how to process that. Does that make sense? When it comes to it, because like it's so easy. Like beauty's a very powerful influence, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
If I'm attracted to a person, that's like my first cue for me to be like, I want to interact with them. I want to see how they are. I want to see who they are. I want to see if if something clicks, if we talk. Mm-hmm. If I feel like I can go up to someone and talk to them, like the first time I meet them, if I can sit and talk with them about a lot of different things and just have like fun conversations and joke around, instantly I'm attracted to that person. I'm thinking
openness in conversation.
Exactly. He's open. He's obviously interested if he's sitting and talking with me and not being on his phone or not doing other things or not like heading out or being like, oh, like I gotta go, and not giving me his number or something like that, or me not giving him my number because I feel like there are some signals saying that he's interested. Mm-hmm. Which I still I have such trouble reading. I'm just like, I don't know if that's like real.
Oh, well, you're honest. That's what's important. So
yeah,
if you're not sure, take what they're saying at face value if they're an honest person. Right? So
exactly.
If you're getting a different image from someone, but they're being honest with you and telling you the honest things, then just recognize it as a facade.
Yeah.
And so don't like fool yourself into thinking something that's not there. Right?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Can be.
And that's something that I think both me and this person realized. We may connect on so many levels. We can talk. I can be open with him. He can be open with me. Physically, it's fantastic. Emotionally, though, we just don't connect. We just can't, like, romantically
connect. Yeah,
connect.
So, yeah, it's true. Well, if that's
like,
if
yeah,
that's
he's
true,
great.
Yeah.
He, like, does everything right, but that doesn't mean that, like, there's that connection because either, like, there's something blocking him from being open with me or trusting me, or there's something blocking me and I have my walls up because he's being like off and distant and weird, and I'm just like, oh, like I can't talk to this person because they're not going to respond, and I know they're not going to respond to me. And that's like something that's huge for me, is getting like responses, talking constantly, having that like feedback, you know what I mean? Like,
don't convince yourself of something that's
exactly. So like we agreed, like this is not anything that we want emotionally for each other. Never mind for ourselves.
Yeah, especially if you guys are friends.
Exactly.
Which is very important, you know. If it's not there, it's not there. And just, you never know the future, right?
Exactly.
There's plenty of fish in the sea. There's not a lot of good fish in the sea, but there's plenty of fish in the sea. Which is why I'm sure...
Sadly, I realized that.
Okay, so if it's the guy I know you're talking... Which is why I think you probably are really like, oh my goodness, I wish it was there, because you probably recognize the man's quality.
Exactly. That's
and you're like so frustrated at it.
I am,
because
honestly.
You're like, okay, so a good guy who listens to me, is philosophical, is attractive, is I assume tall, is a very nice man, but unfortunately it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard, I'm sure that was, you probably, so you cried.
I cried a lot.
When you
I
realized
cried a lot
that.
the first time we ended things. Like, we tried going out again. I cried a lot the second time we ended things.
Because the realization was true.
Well, the thing is, he sat with me during that, and that's when I kind of realized
not only
I have someone who's incredibly nice that I wish things could work out with. I have someone who I can trust, that I can talk to. Yep. And that's so big for me, because I don't feel that for people very easily.
Well, you shouldn't. Really, 70% of people on Earth will push a button and kill you if told to.
Oh God.
So
I just
identify the 30%.
What I'm saying is, like, I have my friends and I have people that I'm close with and everything, but like, I don't trust any of them with a lot of things that I keep
70% of people on Earth will push a button and kill you.
So like,
if
the fact
told
that
to
like
by...
I have this one person that I can literally go to if like I feel sad or like something's going on with my family or things like that, I can go to him and be like, I just need to talk. Like, I know if like that's something that I really need and I make it known, he'll talk with me, or he'll find time to talk with me.
Well, because he's a good guy.
Exactly. And you know.
Women, pay attention. Pay attention, women. You need to pay attention to this. Seriously, you need to care about it. But see,
like, I'm just so, like...
But if it doesn't work, this is also an important thing to point out. Like, a lesser man would try to make it work.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. Like, I've reached a point...
Even though...
In this friendship that I have, that I'm so comfortable with it not working out, and just the way we interact with each other.
I'm sure very sad that, It was,
oh my gosh, it was just so sad.
Fortunately, though, heartbreak fades with time of its own accord.
Yeah.
It does.
And like, that's what I'm moving past.
Might not, yeah.
That's what I'm like, and I wouldn't say that I'm still moving past it. I think that I've definitely gotten past that point, but the thing is, he's raised my standards to a point where I know that
I've raised women's standards, unfortunately, and they don't have sex anymore.
Yeah, right? Like, after this, I don't think I'm going to have sex with anyone, because it's just not...
Like, who am I going to find that's, like, of this quality and looks like this and is really nice?
And is that good at doing
things that he does? Like, how... There's good... And who knows... And here you go. Molly, okay, one day in the future when you're teaching this to other people, because you'll know you've learned it all when you start teaching other people about it, right? Who knows? You might even help create in some insecure but potentially amazing man's mind about something beautiful. And who knows? Maybe you could look.
See, like, the thing is, I see attractive men all day at my work. Because I work at, like, a very, like, hip place. My age coming in, and there are always attractive guys coming in, and I'm just like...
Yo.
Hi. Like,
hi.
Hi. Like, I'm always, like, I'm nice to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little bit more smiley when I'm around someone that's attractive.
Happens, right?
Because, like, if someone sees that you're a happy person... That's
or at least ostensibly happy.
Exactly. Like, that's an attractive quality. At least I find it attractive. If someone smiles at me, I'm going to be like, wow, like this person's really looking at me, like they're seeing me, they're acknowledging me.
Yeah.
And that's a very important thing to feel, and that's honestly that's why I smile at everyone. That's why, like, if I pass a stranger on the road,
spread the love.
Exactly. Like, I honestly, like, I try to show love to everyone because I often reached a point in my day-to-day where I just felt like no one loved me.
Aw.
And I felt like no one, or I couldn't even love myself. And
yeah,
you reach that
You
point,
get that
and
point.
then you wish someone would smile at you. And I actually have I have a good friend, and her and I lost touch, sadly. I know if I ever need anything, I can reach out to her and talk to her because she's gonna be there and talk to me. Her and I interact on Facebook sometimes. Like, it's one of those kinds of friendships. But I was having a super bad day at school. Like, I just broke up with a guy, and I looked awful. Like I was the kind of girl that always kind of, like, straightened her hair for school and stuff, and, like, had, like, at least mascara on and, like, a shirt and pants or something. And I was in, like, sweatpants. I was in, like, a ratty t-shirt. My eyes were all red and puffy. My nose was all red because I've just been crying for literally probably 12 hours.
I can
like,
imagine. Oh, jeez.
Like, just, like, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat for, like, 2 days. I didn't, like... It was awful. And this girl, like, I didn't even know her. Like, I had passed her in the hall before. She just comes up to me and she's like, are you okay? Like, her and I had interacted with each other, like, occasionally in, like, mutual friend groups, but, like, hadn't, like, talked to each other, hadn't introduced like each other, like, our, like, full names or anything, like, hadn't exchanged numbers or anything, like, hadn't, like, we were, like, simply acquaintances, like, through passing.
Yeah.
And she just came up to me and she said, are you okay? And I just, like, I said no. And I just shook my head. Like, I couldn't even speak. Like, I was that upset still about this whole thing, and it was just over a guy. Like,
just over a guy.
Like,
oh, goodness, wow.
Like, and
it's amazing.
Like I was saying before, when you're young and you feel love,
it's pretty intense.
So intense because you haven't felt that before. Or maybe you felt it before, but it's like the first few times you feel it, it's like, wow, I just lost that, and I feel like I'm going to die. It's the end. It's the end of everything, and it's over. My life is over. Yeah. Like, it's the end of everything.
It's always worse in our heads than it is in reality.
It is, and so, like, she just...
Almost always.
Like, we didn't have time to talk because it was between classes and stuff, and it was, like, passing and everything, but she, like, asked me if I was okay, and I just shook my head no, and she said, do you want a hug?
Sometimes a hug is all you need.
And she just gave me this huge hug, and just hugged me until it ended up, like, in our school we had passing music, so when the music started going off, the second time you knew that's when you had to be in class. By the time the music stopped playing, it was like musical chairs. Kind of thing. Like, I always likened it to musical chairs. Like, when the music stops playing, you have to be in class. You have to be sitting in your chair in class. But she just gave me a hug until the music started. And that was like at the very beginning of the passing time. We had about 5 minutes to go between classes and everything. Yeah. So, like, she just kind of stood me off and, like, off to the side, and, like, so that we weren't in anyone's way, and just hugged me. Yeah. And that was honestly something that I hadn't gotten from anyone else. Aww. Other than, like, my sister. And my sisters and I weren't close at that time. Not as close as we are now. We've actually gotten a lot closer. My relationship with them is so much better.
Oh, good.
So much closer and so much better, especially since, like, my oldest sister had her first child. Mm-hmm. And she's doing amazing. And she has an amazing husband who is good. So involved in not only, like, her life and the baby's life and, like, my life, my other sister's life, my dad's life, my stepmom's life, my mom's life. Like, he has just integrated himself into this family and put down roots
so he's, like,
with us.
Doing it right. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and he's an amazing guy, and I am so incredibly happy for her.
Thank you, Guy.
Right?
For being a man.
Right?
That's
like,
a good thing.
Thank you. Like, honestly, like, if he ends up seeing this, I just want to say, like, I love you so much, and I am so grateful that you have joined our family.
Aw.
Because
wonderful. He
has made a lot of the struggles that I have been through, a lot of the struggles that my sister and I have, almost go away. Like, basically go away. Mm-hmm. Because he's kind of brought stability where there wasn't before.
Men bring stability.
Yes.
Oddly enough.
As infuriating as they are.
Men help bring stability
yes,
to a
they
family.
do. They can. And he's there for her, and I see it. I see in the way they interact.
If he's stable.
He is.
If he's an unstable man, then he won't bring stability. But if he's a stable man,
he seems to be a stable man. He has a very good job. He works.
Wonderful.
He's a detective.
Good.
In the state of New Hampshire, and he's an amazing guy.
So he's doing his best and
yes,
having a great job.
He's doing things that he sees are morally right, and he's treating our family like with respect and love, and like we've known each other for as long as we've all lived. And that's so important to me. And even when we interact with his family, when I've interacted with his parents and his sister and other members of his family, yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. It makes such a difference. And they're so kind and so generous, and they're so open. And like the first time I met them,
oh my goodness,
we all hugged. Like that to me was kind of like, I mean, like my family is very like hugging. Like we all hug each other all the time. Like hug each other hello, hug each other like halfway through like the party, hug each other when we leave, hug each other again before we really leave. Like we're that kind of family. So like the fact that his family was like that too was really important, I think, to me, just because it showed like there's that connection.
Oh yeah.
There's that likeness that we need to see there.
A real genuine connection.
Exactly.
Which is not most connections.
Exactly.
Or could they even be called connections at that point?
Yeah, and it just like it makes me strive to find someone that's like him. Because
sounds like that's a good idea.
Because I've seen the way that he's brought happiness into her life, and it's not like I think that's the only thing that can bring me happiness is a great guy that's attractive and stable and has a good family.
No guy is happiness. That's just you.
Exactly.
Although a guy can be a nice
I know
icing on the cake. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Although a guy's a guy or a girl, or whatever you're into, it's nice to have. Although it shouldn't. Yeah. It's not the definition. No relationship except your own relationship is the definition of your own happiness.
Exactly. And I think that that's something that I've definitely been able to capitalize on for myself. I've been able to say, like, yeah, I'm confident in myself. Yeah, I love myself. And that's something that I've never, ever, ever had.
No, you will... Oh, my gosh.
I've just started to.
Think about the person you'll be 5
A coworker the other day made this, like, comment. Like, not like the other day. It was actually a while ago. But it's kind of stuck with me. Because it kind of was like bashing on this self-confidence that I've kind of come into recently and stuff. Mm-hmm. And
you're welcome.
He just kind of like said something along the lines of like, oh, she thinks she's the shit or something like that. Or like she thinks she's hot shit. And I'm like,
she thinks she's hot shit.
Bitch, I know I am. Like... Like, I didn't say it to him, but, like, I heard, like, I think what happened was, like, I overheard him say it to someone else about me, or, like, someone said, like, oh, he said you think you're hot shit, and I was like...
Whatever.
Like, maybe, I know I am.
Maybe I am.
Like, I totally am.
Yes.
And, like, I've just kind of thought about, like, my reaction, the fact that, like, I didn't feel the need to confront him about it, or be like... Good. What the hell?
Yeah,
or
good.
Be like, why do you think that I just think I'm hot shit? I know I'm hot shit. Like, I didn't have to say that to him.
Good.
I just had to tell myself.
Yes, because, nobody...
And, like, respond to the person that told me that he said that. I was just kind of like...
How sad would that be if you had to prove yourself to somebody that you were confident?
Exactly.
That's not confidence.
That's not confidence, you're right.
Confidence is not something you prove to people, right? This is why when people...
Confidence is something that you prove to yourself.
And that you actualize and that you embody. It's just who you are. And then it doesn't... What other people think about you doesn't matter. I mean, if you're an immoral person and, people don't want to hang around you because you're beating the shit out of your husband or wife or whatever, and...
Yeah.
Then that makes sense that people then would... But
well, hey,
people's
jokingly...
Yeah.
There's jokingly...
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's fine.
Because I...
Yeah, I know.
I'm a very hands-on
Love
person.
taps. Is that what they call those? Love taps. My goodness gracious. That's what they call those nowadays. But yeah. So you
It's
don't have
all
to
in
convince.
good fun. You can hit me back if you want to. I can take it.
Think of who you were
Like-
5 years ago, and now think of who you're going to be 5 years from now.
It's
have-
definitely like something. It's definitely something that makes me happy to think of, like who I'm going to be in 5 years, because I know. Like I just don't. I don't just think, like, I know I'm going to be where I want to be.
You're on the right path.
Not only emotionally
You're headed in the right
and
direction.
physically, I'm going to be in my career of choice. I'm going to have the job.
Until you're a Formula One driver. But just my aspiration. Don't let my dreams be dreams, Mom.
If you can set it up.
I don't know any Formula One people. I just watch the stuff constantly. Although I should. Maybe if there's a Formula One person listening to this, hook her
Get
up.
me into a
Get
car.
her into a car.
Do it.
She just started on a manual today, and she was already fantastic. She only stalled it after I told her to change her technique to a more advanced one. So it was pretty fantastic. I'm like, finally, this girl installed this car. I've been waiting for it the whole time. You know, it's like you're waiting for the shoe to drop, that phrase.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I'm like, it's gonna happen. When is it gonna happen? I was getting all nervous. I'm like, this is gonna really suck when she's.
When she doesn't.
Fortunately, though, yeah, it wasn't a bad stall either. So yeah, it was fantastic. So, but you're on the right path. You're in the right career, and you are going to have some challenges to get over.
Oh yeah.
But
I know.
You're headed in the right direction, and I think that in 5 years, your life will be unrecognizable to you.
Oh my gosh, and I'm so excited for that moment.
It's going to require effort.
I'm
it's
so
not,
optimistic. That's the thing.
Optimistic is good.
I feel like I toggle between being optimistic and pessimist. Like, sometimes I have those days where I'm just like, I hate everything. I just want to be in bed. I hate all of you.
I hate the clock.
I
Why
hate
does clock?
just-
I hate clock. Why clock? Why did clock? Why did clock?
Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be alone. I just want peace and quiet.
Well, that's fine.
And just to read something.
I value
or
my
listen
alone
to
time too. No matter how much I
peaceful
love.
music and have that serenity surrounding myself. Maybe do some yoga and deep breathing and meditation and just have that, like, that sense of, like, I have this bubble and it is my bedroom and it has
It's a good
everything
place.
I need and I am okay.
Okay here. Yeah, it's like that meme online where it's like, what are you doing? I don't really want to face the world. Oh, well, would you like me to mail you a nest? And it's like, yes.
Yes.
and then it's like, I made you the nest. Do you want to go in? Yes. Do you want me to go into the nest with you? Yes.
Yes.
And then they nest, and then and then everything is just good after the nest. I have those pillows. I nest. You saw?
I nest. You know I nest.
You saw the nest I
did
made that
see.
time. Usually I have my pillows like laid out like that, but then
Yeah.
if it's like I didn't really feel like making my bed, it just kind of nests and it's nesting in its nesting state, and it's very wonderful.
See, the way that I have my bed set up is I have I have 2 flat pillows that I usually have in the back to, like, add cushion. That way I can build up the pillows out. And then I have
Your pillows for your pillows.
Yeah. It's the ultimate nest.
It's the ultimate nest. My
then I have
nest has
2
a nest.
Yes.
It's a nested nest. Oh no, we did it. You nested nests like the Matryoshka dolls. Is that what they're called? What are they called? The Matryoshka dolls? The Russian dolls? Yeah, you nest for your nested nests. It's not nested. Kepler would be so proud. The nesting is true.
Anyway, I have 2 king-size pillows, and one of them, so, like, I have the 2 flat pillows that are, like, against the wall to, like, be, like, a barrier between my bed and the wall, and then I have a king-size pillow along the back. And then one king-size pillow goes on the outside of my bed. My bed is cornered.
Oh, nice.
So
okay,
I have
good. Yeah,
that
good. Okay.
wall.
Yep. So you got the.
And, okay, yep. So you're getting it. So then I have my Tempur-Pedic pillow. That's the pillow that I lay on. And then I have a king-size pillow that I usually cuddle around.
That's important.
And then I have a very squishy, fluffy,
Or queen size pillow.
super soft pillow that lays on the other side. And that's usually where I put my laptop or my phone on top. And then I'm usually laying on my Tempur-Pedic pillow, and my laptop is there, and I'm just watching Netflix on my laptop as I lay in bed. And I also have a very delectable pillow top on my bed and a very fluffy blanket that I use.
Good.
And it's just
Microfiber.
No, it's a down
A
pillow
down
top.
pillow top. Oh my goodness.
So it is just luxurious,
So it's
and
just
it
super soft.
floats around me, and it feels
That
like a
float-
cloud.
Yeah.
And my bed is already very soft. Like, I have a very soft mattress already, so I have this pillow top on top. And then I just have, like, if I take the pillow top off, you can see the indent
So
in
much
my
cloud.
bed
Yeah.
from where I lay every
You're-
single night. And
It's so funny how that develops. Yeah, you get your little nesting hole. And then
yeah,
just-
you know, a little nesting hole.
Yep.
And it's just, it's such a comfort to just be able to lay in my bed and be like,
The bed is
This is
the bed is fantastic.
Yes,
There's something
it's
special
just-
about.
and then I also have
bed.
a very cushiony, oh God, what's that chair?
Recliner.
No. Oh Lord,
Particular kind of chair.
yes, it's a round chair made out of wood, and it has a base, and it
Oh, okay. I know what you're
pops
talking
on,
about.
a papasan chair. It's a papasan chair.
Papasan.
And it has a
wasn't
single
familiar.
round cushion that
Yep.
sits in it. And I'll usually crawl from my bed into my papasan chair. And
From one nest to the other. Yep.
And I have 2 blankets on
Oh,
it
good.
and a couple of pillows that I usually just kind of like curl up with. And then I read and listen to music in my papasan chair. And then when I'm done with that, I'll crawl back into my bed and watch Netflix and eat chocolate and just be completely relaxed and just so
And
it's just
chocolated.
yes.
And chocolated. Chocolated is a very powerful substance, that's for sure too.
Honestly,
Chocolate.
my favorite, my absolute
That
favorite.
German chocolate cake. Oh, it was so good.
Oh my goodness. But the Lindt chocolate and coconut cream center truffles.
That chocolate coconut cream truffles.
Yes. And you bite.
That sounds like
and
something we
it's
should
just
have sometime.
Like
And I don't even like sweets. You know me. I don't usually
I
like
do,
sweets
and
very
it's
much,
honestly
so.
like the coconut is not sweet, and it's a cream. It's
Mm.
not like the chunks of coconut.
Mhm.
It's a cream,
That sounds really good.
and it is so.
Did I ever
good.
make you the coconut chicken that I do when you were here? Oh my gosh, it's so good. Coconut orange chicken. So you
Coconut is my life.
Okay, so
I use coconut oil as moisturizer. I use coconut oil in my hair. I use coconut oil to moisturize my face. I use coconut oil to take my makeup off at night. Like,
Oh really?
coconut oil is my life.
Coconut.
And
Okay.
I would use coconut oil as a lubricant for, like, machinery. Like,
Just-
like I'm just going
coconut.
to have it in every aspect of my life,
Coconut.
and I'm going to be
everywhere.
okay with it.
So-
Granted, for safety reasons, oil-based products are not safe lubricant for your genitals.
Genitals,
Please
no.
do not use.
Water
That is
only.
not what I was talking about.
She means actual
Water-based
machines, like
Products, please.
like shafts, like propeller
PSA.
shafts. Yeah, PSA.
I have to make it.
Yeah, don't use oil based.
It's horrible. It's awful. You've probably heard about the lady that used mayo, and she got maggots
Oh no, that's
in
horrible.
all the wrong places.
In all the wrong places. Oh no, that's not good. I would not want. Okay, so
I
no,
apologize for the graphicness, but it needed to be said.
it's needed to be
It
said.
needed to be said.
The non-oil based lubricants, and plus your, oh my gosh, your poor little vagina would not process that very well.
No, it would not, and that's why things no.
Yeah, no.
no.
So
That's why
coconut
things happen,
oil.
so.
Much better use of coconut oil is I'm going to describe to you. Okay, so
Okay.
chicken breast, a bunch of fillets, cover it in a whole wheat / kind of egg breading with heavy paprika, because Elvis said the chicken is best with paprika, and I agree. Heavy pepper along with a lot of coconut shavings.
Mm.
And so then you bread the chicken in that, which is ridiculous. And
Oh
then
my
you put them
gosh.
in the pan, which you've of course used coconut oil to you can't use butter. Well, you could use butter, but you should be using coconut oil
Yes.
to oil the pan.
Yes.
And then you drizzle a little bit of coconut oil on each one of them before they go in. And then a little bit of orange juice,
Mm.
and then some orange little triangles on top for little garnishes,
Oh.
and then a little bit of parsley on top just for green. And then when you take them out, they're good hot, but they're even better when you let them cool down a little bit, and then drizzle coconut oil on them, which then solidifies from the liquid state to the solid state. and then it's like cutting through like a layer of like coconut butter.
Yeah.
And it just holds it. Oh, it's all right. So
see, the thing is,
I'll make that for next. All right, next land party, people.
Okay.
Apparently we know. Okay, so next land party, I'll make that coconut chicken, and it'll be really good. I can't wait. So anybody wants coconut chicken, come by for first come first serve, I suppose. Although I'll make a big platter, so it'll be fun.
Oh my goodness, I'm very excited. I love food. Food is my favorite thing.
I know you love food.
I love food.
I love food too. No, I love food too. I love making food. Do you like making food?
I love making food.
That's cool.
Were you not here the night that and I made boiled dinner together? Or you were here for most of it, but a lot of that was the two of us making it together.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Was
I mean, he did most of it. Granted, he did a lot of it.
Was that when he did the onion hot roast or whatever it was?
Yes.
Okay, I think I know what that. I think I
boiled dinner St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Yes. Okay, that was that night. Yes. Good. But yeah, we should do another another cooking night. Actually, not a long time ago, we got together. It was like me, other people, all got together. We just like each made a dish, and we just like shared.
You brought it.
And we cooked a lot of it here, but some people cooked it at home and then brought it, and it was just there was so much good food.
So
made his own salad dressing, which was what was the salad dressing? He made like this ridiculously good salad, and the dressing was like homemade by him, and it was so good. I can't even recall what it was called.
We make our own salad dressing there. It is so good.
You guys use a lot of lime juice, right?
Not in the
salad dressing.
In the salad dressing. It's actually a mixture of red wine vinegar, water, salt, adobo, and some seasonings. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like an adobo sauce. It's a thick...
I'm not familiar with adobo. What is adobo?
It's, I believe it's made from chipotle peppers, and they're like dried and crushed and mixed with an oil.
Is it like powderized, or is it kind of...
What we use is like a thick sauce type thing. It's like a marinade. We use it to marinate our chicken. We double marinate our steak in it, and that's spicier. It's
Whoa.
So good.
Do you guys have whole wheat wraps yet?
No, we don't. Not at the... If you go to some of the other locations, they will. But we just don't have the sales for it right now. It's all based on sales. Yeah. So. Of course.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah. But it's honestly... And honey. We also use honey. And I believe it's oregano and black pepper. And rice bran oil. And we emulsify it.
That sounds
so
really
that
good.
it's like a thick... it's almost like Thousand Island dressing. Like, it's just like thick.
Okay.
And doesn't separate very much. At least if you let it sit for long enough, it will separate the oil, but the oil will be on the bottom.
Yeah, so you just have to shake it again.
So you just have to shake
fine.
it. Or maybe that's the red wine vinegar that's on the bottom. But you just have to shake it, and it's honestly so good.
Aw.
It's so good. I love it. I love making it. I love like taste testing it, because you have to taste test everything you make, and that's my favorite part of having my job. I get to try all the food before.
Good. Yes. What's good food?
It's delicious food. It's fantastic food, and it's surprisingly, like, obviously everything in moderation. Everything in moderation? So good for
Aristotle. Don't be cowardly, but don't be foolhardy. Be brave.
Yes.
You know, there's a fine line there.
See, like, I definitely, like, ask for, like, a triple portion of rice whenever I get food.
Ooh. You guys have whole grain rice, though, don't you, right?
We have brown rice, but I get white rice.
White rice. I like white rice, too. White rice is fun because you can, like, eat it like popcorn. When it's made right, you know, you're like, oh.
See, now you're getting into
sushi
culture. I love sushi. I need to have sushi soon.
I haven't had sushi in quite some time, actually.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Sushi, if it's not prepared right, is the worst. It's so...
I've gotten sushi from... And it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's like...
So, halfway decent.
Like, it's not horrible, especially if you get it, like, if you go there early in the morning and get it fresh.
Get it brand new fresh, yeah. Then it's really good. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if they make it, like, on site or not,
I'm so hungry. Oh, goodness.
I think, like, the most important thing that I've discovered about, like, myself in recent months is that when I put things in my body that are good, I feel good. When I put things in my body that are junk food,
I
feel like junk. So, and that's
astonishingly enough.
Honestly, like when I was younger, I'm not that old. I'm sorry. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
But I mean, like a few years ago, I could eat whatever I wanted and just eat meat, and like not really like feel any different or not notice a difference. Mm-hmm. Now I notice a difference. Mm-hmm. Like now I'm definitely like, okay, like I just and I'm gonna sleep it off because that's what I feel like doing.
Yeah, and it wasn't the
I need a drink.
I don't eat a lot of red meat, but I do like it every night. Yeah, that will.
Sorry,
that will
I
make
load up on carbs all the time.
Well, it's not
I usually
even the
only
carbs.
eat like once a day.
The animal fat was what will like really make you like. I notice that when I eat red meat nowadays, and I do eat sometimes, but when I eat red meat, I'm just like wet cement. I'm just gonna cement in my bed because you can feel it in your veins. You know, it's literally there in your veins.
Well,
right?
I think like. Something that's very important to know about the human body is that when it comes to protein, red meat is your best friend. Because the thing is, there are ratios of amino acids in everything that contains protein.
If my dad watches this, he's going to be like, what? So, okay, continue, please.
Well, I am a health science major. I've had to take a lot of biology classes.
Yep.
But, okay, so there are ratios of amino acids in everything that contains protein, which includes plants and animals, meats and nuts and everything. Yeah. Everything that contains a protein has ratios of amino acids. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, though, when you eat animal meat, those amino acids are in the correct ratios for our body to break them down the quickest way possible and use them. Mm-hmm. And utilize those amino acids and utilize those proteins and make good things out of them, like muscle and tissue and regenerate different things like
Isn't it requires
skin.
2/3 the calories to get energy out of meat than it does from plants, right? Because digestion is not a free process.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So it's. We're not trying to like the vegetarians listening, right? But it is cheaper for your body to digest meat than plants.
Which is why typically that people who eat
especially cooked
a lot of plants.
A lot of plants.
They're gonna look healthier. Their body fat content to like body composition ratio is just going to be better for them. Yeah. It's going to be a lot healthier than someone who eats a lot of red meat and gets their protein that way. Yeah.
Balance. Everything in moderation. everything in moderation. Right?
Yes. But the thing is, when you eat plants, you have to double, triple, quadruple up on the plants that contain proteins. Like you have to mix and match. Like if you drink a glass of milk and then eat like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're gonna get all the right amino acids that you need out of that. That would be in comparison to eating like a portion of steak.
Yeah, like
one portion of a single food item. That is different. So like when you eat things that are green, like things that are like if you eat like, I believe it's like spinach that contains protein, beans contain protein.
Wheat contains protein.
Wheat contains protein.
Only whole wheat though, unfortunately.
Exactly. So these plant items, you have to, like what I was saying, you have to double, triple, quadruple up. You have to eat multiple different plant items that give you protein to get the right amino acids and to get it in the right amount. But when you have meat, it's just there because it's meat and you are meat and it
because it's meat and you are meat. Yeah, I mean,
and you take the protein and you make it into good things.
Yeah, we are the one. Really, oddly enough, I mean, this might trigger vegans or vegetarians, but the human species has largely evolved around meat eating.
Yes.
I mean, we're the only meat-eating primate, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, chimpanzees will occasionally eat. I mean, most primates will eat like insects, but I'm not talking insects. I'm talking like
which
other
are excellent protein, by the way.
Which are excellent protein, by the way.
Don't
have
knock
you ever
it
had,
till you try it.
Have you ever had deep fried locusts before?
I have not, but that is definitely something I want to try. Actually,
It tastes like potato chips.
Really? That makes me very excited because it must be healthier for you.
It's not bad.
It has to be healthier for you because it has a lot more protein in it.
And chitin's relatively healthy for you, which is chitin. That's their skin, their armor.
Oh, yeah.
The biological hard thing, as opposed to the biological soft thing like we have. Their chitin is also relatively healthy. So it's yeah. It's good stuff.
Okay, I'm safe. I'm not dying.
You're not.
Here
dying.
we go.
For sure.
Anyway.
All this talk about food.
Right?
It's got me wanting to eat food.
It is too late to consume food.
What is it, 1?
Safely.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about before we take our leave for the night? I think how long have we been going for now? Like about
a
2
couple
hours?
of hours,
A couple
yeah.
hours, I think. Yeah, like 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours.
Thank you. Assistant. Assistant. Anything else you'd like to chat about? If not, I've got a great big hug for you.
I'm trying to think if there was like anything that we started talking about that we didn't finish, because like I want to make sure that like we reach all those points,
Yeah, for sure. If something's tickling the back of your mind.
No, because we went over like the whole infidelity thing and like kind of to like finish up that story, because I didn't really get to. I did end up telling the person the next day when the guy that I cheated on my boyfriend with, and we had only been dating for like a week or two, and so like it was very like fresh, and like we weren't like, I wasn't really 100% sure about him when we started dating, so like I was just kind of like up in the air still about it, and like we hadn't really seen each other in a while, so I went out like with my mom and everything, and ended up staying for a weekend and stuff, and then I got drunk and things happened, and when I found out, like when I like was told everything that I did because I did not remember.
Yeah.
And like by all means, my mom was unaware of my activities. She had gone to bed and she thought I was in bed. Like this was completely like a me thing. I snuck out of bed and went
literally
like, partied
in bed
with people, and I instantly called and was like, listen, like I went outside and like had some like privacy and everything, and I was like kind of tearing up because I was like, oh my god, like I did the one thing that I never thought I would ever do, because it's a horrible thing to do, and that's happened to me before, and I felt horrible when it happened to me, and it was over such an extended period of time, and I didn't know, and it destroyed me. It destroyed all of my self-confidence, everything that I thought I knew, everything that I thought I knew about trust and love and relationships.
People don't provide a good example.
Instantly, I called him and talked with him, and he picked up right away, because like I had told him like the day before, like, oh, I'll call you in the morning, like when we're about to head out and everything, and he was like, hey, like, are we hanging out tonight, like, because we were supposed to hang out that night and everything, and I was like, listen, like, I have to tell you something, and I feel really horrible about it, and I can't believe that I did this, and if you're mad, if you like whatever you want to say to me in any way, like, feel free to do so, like, I deserve it, I'm a horrible person and I feel that way. And he was like, what did you do? And I was like, well, like, one thing led to another. I got really drunk to the point where I like had to be told what happened this morning, but I kissed someone else, and like it was part of like a card game and a bet and everything, and so like I cheated on you, basically. Like I was unfaithful. And he was like, listen, like, I appreciate you telling me. I've been in that situation before. I was very lucky that he was an understanding individual, and he forgave me for it. Yeah. And was like, listen.
It's not like you had intercourse. I mean, it's still a lack of fidelity,
it's still,
but
like,
it's not the worst thing.
No, definitely not. And like I still think about it, and I'm like, it still hits me, because like,
I'm not excusing the behavior, but I'm just saying it's not the worst thing.
Exactly. Like, it still hits me, and I'm just like, I still can't believe that I did that to another person. I'm never going to get drunk to that point ever again, and I haven't. I've kept my word to myself on that, which I'm very happy about.
It's important to be able to, the easiest person to lie, the easiest person to break vows to is your own vows that you make to yourself.
Exactly. And like, that's like just one thing that I've kept truthful about to myself. Like, I'm never going to be unfaithful with someone. And like, yeah, I've had like moments where it was pretty close behind a like ending relationship and ended relationship, and then like something happened more of like ended up being more of like a rebound and everything, and like those things happen, but it just so happened that like
at least not in the
these
moment.
two people, not in the moment, definitely not. No, it was never intended to be that way. Now I look back on it and it definitely worked out that way, and I'm grateful for that opportunity to like move on and have that help moving on in a sense.
Well, you're still, I mean, in a sense, in a very real way, you're still searching for yourself.
Exactly,
first.
and that kind of helped me.
But when you have yourself figured out and the right guy comes along,
yeah,
I'm hopeful for you.
Thank you.
I saw the look on your face when you realized. It was a powerful look, for sure, and it's the look of like, can it help a little bit?
Yeah.
you know, like I can.
Was that here?
Yeah, I saw the look in you. I'm like, I'm gonna talk. I'm always the first person I'm gonna ask to talk to on my show. When I saw that look in your eyes, it was just like, I was like, whoa, because it was a look of like desperate fear, and I was just like, yep.
When was that?
It was about 6 weeks ago.
Really?
Give or take. Yeah. 5-6 weeks.
What was going on?
It was a Civ night, and you came over and you started talking about your relationships.
Yeah.
And when you started talking about them, just there was a look in your eyes where it was like, oh goodness, Eric. I think I need to process some stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yep, yeah, I got it. And I was just like, okay, good, Molly. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to her.
Definitely. There's been a lot of processing that's happened, and like if I could go back and do things differently, I would in less than a millisecond.
Yeah, just a heartbeat.
Like not even. Mm-hmm. I just, the guilt that I feel about that is unending at this point. And I've definitely worked on forgiving myself and coming to terms with it, and like, yeah, I've been like, you know what, you can't change the past.
Can't change the past.
It is what it is, and you have to move forward, and I'm doing that now. I've come to terms with it and everything. I still feel sorry about what I did,
but I'm really glad that you're moving forward.
Yeah, it's definitely something that like is really, one
day this will all be, you won't even think
obsolete.
About this one. Yeah, it'll be
honestly,
obsolete one day, fortunately. And so long as you continue on your path.
Exactly.
In the
and
right
like
direction.
Just having like realizing like everything that I did and everything that I felt in the past like 8 or so months, I guess, has just been a huge wake up call as to like how much I lost myself in the past like 4 years or so.
And, or haven't like found yourself in the past 4 years.
Have just been like kind of floating,
wandering in the ether.
Yeah, just and like just not realizing
what some might call a lost soul, or like
exactly.
There's a variety of terms that
exactly,
use
and like I didn't
condition.
really, I guess I didn't really start like to really go downhill until my Nana died, and that was such like a huge. That literally just shattered my entire world, because this huge, massive part of my life was gone, and I could never get it back. I could never talk to her again. Yeah. And I still cry about it. It's been 2 years.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I still get very broken up about it, even talking about it. Like, now I'm tearing up, and I'm just like, no, it's okay.
It's okay.
But
grief fades with time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Same thing with, like, heartbreak.
Gotten better and changed and been different, but
it's been a wonderful learning experience.
It has been. I've definitely, like, I've learned, I've become a different person over these past few years, and it's been...
How long have we known each other now? 2 years?
2 years.
Yep.
And this is honestly, this is like this is the longest friendship I've ever had. Like, this is the longest time I've spent in a friend group where I know I'm accepted, and like, even though I've made many mistakes in like the last year.
You haven't made like an overwhelming number, but I mean, yeah,
a lot of them.
A couple. So, but.
And I just have to like keep reminding myself it's okay, and they forgive me, and that's like something that I have to accept.
Everything will, in the fullness of time, be okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Everything will be okay. Okay.
But
there's
but it's definitely like I like having this whole experience like within the last few months and everything. I definitely kind of, like I said, like I was saying before, I realized how much I lost myself, especially after my Nana died. I lost that moral
compass.
Exactly. She was my moral compass for a lot of my life.
The Pinocchio. What was the cricket?
Oh.
Not Pinocchio.
No.
Yeah, your conscience. Do you want to be Pinocchio's conscience?
I know
Jiminy Cricket?
Jiminy Cricket, yes.
Jiminy Cricket.
And
you lost your cricket. My cricket. Yeah, well, I mean, she was sort of she was your defining.
She's a person that's defined a lot of the morals that I have and continue to have to this day. How I feel about being nice to other people, smiling at other people. That was something she really imprinted on me, because she always told me the story about how when she was young and she graduated high school, everything anyone said about her in her yearbook was, "You are so nice."
Good.
That's all everyone said about her was, "You are so kind, you are so nice. I have never seen you have a bad day." Like,
oh my gosh, that reminds me of my grandma. So
perpetually kind and loving and loved animals, always taking in wild animals that were hurt and like bringing them back to health, and just like,
I told you that you would fall in love with my grandmother over
yes.
the course of a single afternoon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it would just take one afternoon.
I'm okay with that. I honestly, like, I hope I get the chance to meet her very soon.
You wouldn't be able to let her go.
That sounds awesome.
She's so tiny, but she's so much fun. It's kind of hard to hug her. Actually, you would probably be able to hug her a little bit easier than me, because you're not like 6'2".
I have a hard time hugging my grandmothers. They're both very tiny.
They're both very tiny.
They don't break 5 feet.
Oh, jeez. My grandma at this point is probably about 4'10".
Oh!
She's a tiny little thing.
Just about like my meme's height. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she's still...
You've probably seen that picture of her on Facebook with the assault rifle.
Carbine.
Basically, whatever it is. I don't even know. It's just like a big gun.
Big gun.
And
the big
gun.
And
she's... we were talking about it the other day. The best part is that she has her pants pulled up over her, like, up to her, like, rib cage.
Yeah. She's got the Steve Urkel going on. Oh, no, I just did it. I figured it out. It's Steve. Because of the little monks. My dad does that, too, actually, when he laughs pretty hard.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten to that point yet tonight. There were a couple times in the car.
Yep.
Where I started, just snorted laughing.
That was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I know. That was
Once you got comfortable with the throttle, it was really fun, too.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I got into second gear and was whipping
gear.
around them corners.
Yeah, I think it probably won't take more than about 3 or 4 lessons for you to be fine driving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some people require maybe 5 or 6 or 7, but I think you can have it down in like 4 or 5. 3, 4, 5, something
awesome.
like that.
I'm excited.
Given your performance that you had this morning, yeah.
I
mean, the fact that you didn't stall it on your first time, and you didn't stall it on your second time, nor like your 10th time, and it's just like, all right. Apparently, I don't have to do much to teach this girl about how to drive a standard. She'll just kind of figure it out. Well, fortunately, though, yeah, you got like, you know, told you about how the the problem is that most people just don't know how the car works, so they don't get the relationship between the transmission and the clutch and all that stuff. So if you just kind of well, but then again, most people don't know how a car works at all.
Yeah.
So in general, there's a good thing with knowledge. You can't handle the truth about how a car works. Yes, you can. Cars aren't that complicated. So if you just explain it to somebody rationally and with a good finger representation of the different parts, you know, you can have a pretty good translation of ideas.
So I guess to kind of capitalize on like what I'm taking out of this and what I think that like others should definitely take out of this if you're in my position and you're watching, you're tuning in to kind of like see like what the show is about, and also hopefully like you can take from my experiences that I've shared. And
yes, this is one of the and plus you can rewatch this.
Yeah, and I can.
And you might get stuff that you didn't
notes.
get. And you can make notes. You might get stuff that you didn't have.
I'm a note taker.
That's one of the reasons why the philosopher who sort of inspired this show said it's so fantastic to record this stuff because one, you could show it to somebody else who might learn from it, and two, you can continue to learn from it.
Yeah.
Forever. And like I said, you could
forever.
Forever. Right? We don't know what Socrates said, but
goodness.
they can know what you said.
Yes, they can. I guess like you're gonna feel guilty about things. You're going to have things that you regret. You're gonna lose yourself in life. You're going to have people in your life, whether they're family or friends, that don't add any positivity.
Don't help. Yeah.
They don't help your mental state. They don't help your emotional situation. But even if they're family, even if they're just a toxic person that you have to interact with every day, you just kind of have to put that out of your mind. You have to put that guilt. You have to accept yourself. You have to
be who you are.
Just be who you are and be truthful and be honest and
don't let bad people define you.
Exactly. Don't let your horrible decisions, as awful as you think they are, as awful as I think some of my own decisions have been in my life. Everyone has them. And you just kind of have to open yourself up to your own acceptance. I feel like that's the first step. If you open yourself up to your own acceptance, other people are going to accept you.
Learn from your past, but don't be doomed by it.
Exactly. And even if other people don't accept you, it's not that big of a deal as long as you it's no deal.
It's
as
no
long
deal.
as you accept yourself, like that's the most important part.
Oh my gosh, Molly. See, I tell you, you're gonna change people too one day.
I hope so.
For sure.
I hope to have a successful family.
I think that when the time is right, I think that could be great.
Yeah.
Sure. Anything else you'd like to cover before we call it for the night? I think it's about 1. So
yeah, it is.
it's fun. Although that's what this is about. I mean, I'm not like 2 hours.
Late night talks.
Late night talk time with Erik.
Talk time with Erik. Late night talk time with Erik.
Thank you, assistant. Sweet. All right. Well, the first show.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness. First of many.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erik. You're the best.
You're welcome. I'm so glad. Thank you. Good job.
Oh, thanks.
You were nervous at first, but then you were just like, nah, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. What camera we can not have only battery power from? Because did that die a couple times? Is that what happened?
Filled up.
Oh, the camera filled up.
8 gigs at a time.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I might be the recording format. It's
oh my goodness.
really.